This is the mass percent of carbon in sodium bicarbonate lab. And for step 1, we changed the procedure a little bit. Rather than using 60 milliliters of vinegar or acetic acid, we're going to use 100 milliliters. So I'm going to go ahead and pour about 100 milliliters into this beaker. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Step 2 says place a weighing dish and the beaker containing the vinegar side by side on the balance. Well, rather than do side by side, since there's not enough space, I'm going to put the weighing boat on top of the beaker. And if you can read that, it says 246.58 grams. Step 3 says record the mass. And again, that's 246.58 grams. Then it says to weigh out about 1.5 grams of sodium bicarbonate, and that's baking soda. And then we're going to record that value in the data table. So I'm going to take the vinegar and everything off of there. I'm going to put the weigh boat back on there, and I'm going to zero or tare the scale. So now it's reading 0 again, and I'm going to add about 1.5 grams of baking soda. Take a little bit out. And 1.54 is the mass of the baking soda. So go ahead and record that in your data table. Then I'm going to go on to step 5. I'm going to take the weigh boat off. I'm going to re-zero the scale. And step 5 says record the combined mass of the beaker, the weighing dish, and the sodium bicarbonate in the data table. Now you should be able to add those last two measurements together and come up with this one, which is 248.11 grams. Now step 6, slowly and carefully add the sodium bicarbonate to the vinegar in the beaker in such a way as to prevent any foam produced by the reaction from overflowing the beaker. You've probably seen vinegar and baking soda together, so this reaction should come as no surprise to you when I do it. And so I'm going to slowly add this. I don't want it to overflow. I'm going to make sure that all of that baking soda gets in there. Set the dish aside for a minute. I'll wait till some of that fizzing stops, and then I'm going to swirl it around. You can still see, perhaps in the video, there's lots of motion inside that beaker, and that's still carbon dioxide gas being produced in the reaction. It kind of looks like steam or smoke, but I promise you it's not. That's just bubbles inside of the solution. So I'm going to take this and swirl it just to make sure I get good contact with vinegar and baking soda, and that all of the baking soda reacts. So I don't want any baking soda left in there because we're supposed to be reacting all of it. So now I think you can probably see in there that the reaction has stopped. There's no more bubbles being produced. Just swirl it around one more time for good measure here. So step 7 we just finished, and then we're going to record the mass of the beaker, all the stuff that's in the beaker, and the weigh boat again, now that the reaction is complete. And that mass is 247.50 grams. Go ahead and record that number in the data table. Now step 9 does say to repeat this 2 more times. But for the sake of speed right now, we're just going to do one trial of this lab. And now you have enough of the data to begin making the calculations for the rest of this lab. On the back side of this lab, the post-lab questions tell you exactly how to make the calculations that you're going to need to make in order to do the calculations for the second, probably the last 4 rows or so of the data table.